Oh, Bob, the government done the seek another loan from World Bank. I see the other day waiting the one World Bank. Say no be say if they come borrow money, then go they delay them. Beg away get bad mouth. they want your helper. They want them finish. I reached there as he said they want borrow $1.2 billion. Guy, wait till these people want use this car. These people don't borrow our great-grandchildren future. And they make sure then they borrow in dollar, guy. So you know go talk exchange rate, and dollar you go pay back. Jesus, $1.2 billion. Now they seek to borrow again. Guy, the kind money where go come board this 2027 election. Hey, because you can't tell me nothing. You know go tell me say this money now for anything apart from election. You see them now where then they share money already. They don't already start to share money. For country where we they talk say money no day, then they share physical cash. Already bring them like this, spray them like say you Venezuela where they carry money for barrel. That kind of money day for people where they want practice cashless economy. Guy, $1.2 billion. 9% one borrow. What thing would they use that kind of money do? And if you look around, you know go see infrastructure or something where that money they enter inside. You tell me say no be election. The kind of money where go come. Say they come out now and they talk say good luck Bella Jonathan one contest. Yeah, one me from PM. Because they shall say he's not coming out to me this. Now plan hello Google. Alpha now how much I go pay you may come out. Now pay as you go now. Make I pay you, make it come out. Divide vote for me and P2B. Finish. Because the fear their body, the kind of money will go come board. Now what thing they want, that is they won't bring out money full time. If you go see am kuro eyes, say money they flow. $1.2 billion. Tell me infrastructure where they won't put them inside. Tell me. The ones where they don't borrow before. If you ask them where the money they go tell you say Coastal Road. You go ask yourself, this Coastal Road, the money where they enter inside, not as if we know they generate income at all. All of a sudden they forget about our oil. Say we actually get oil. Anything we want to do now, they go borrow money. When these people go come for their money, come. What bank from they borrow? Muna know the faces of people where they come borrow. Find their signature. Because we know follow. We know the benefits. We know the benefit for everything now within the we don't benefit from it. Hold them accountable, hold them for now.
I have always said the subsidy regime was unsustainable. We cannot continue supporting foreign refineries when we're an oil-producing country, keeping refineries open abroad while we're not doing our own. Today, we have a situation where we have our own domestic refinery. We're not importing petroleum products. We're even exporting to Europe, and this is very good for the economy. Artificial exchange rates, especially when you're printing money, cannot work. There was going to be a devaluation. Now, so for me, removing subsidy or liberalizing exchange rate, these were good interventions. Now, were they done at the right time? Those are certain questions. And were there other things that should be done that have not been done? These are other issues. And I think we must make that decision. So it's not enough to say, oh, they removed subsidy. You had to. When you get to a point where 100% of your revenue goes into debt service, you cannot continue. Where is the money going to come from? However, if you decide to remove subsidy and liberalize exchange rate in an environment of very loose monetary conditions, before you have tightened money supply, the naira drops to a bottomless pit. Okay, so that was a timing issue. Okay, secondly, We've removed the subsidy. We're not spending it. What we should now see is fiscal consolidation. You cannot remove wastages and continue borrowing. Higher thing, and I've said this before. So you need to see the benefits. So if you're not paying the subsidy and you've got the money, why are we still borrowing and borrowing? What are we borrowing?
Let's take a look.
You are playing to the hand of agents, including my own enemies, who want to use insecurity to get rid of me. I'm a very stubborn politician. I just refuse to go. And I will campaign for my second term.
He refuses to go. I'll take one reaction from Nello, who says the focus should be on the lives being lost, not the second term. Insecurity isn't a political tool used by enemies. It's a daily reality for Nigerians in the North and the South. If the security is fixed, then no enemy can get rid of you in the first place. Defending his approach to borrowing, basically saying that people need to relax because borrowing isn't leprosy. Let's watch.
If we have to borrow money, we borrow. It's not borrowing is not a leprosy. We just have to work hard to be able to pay for it.
If we got to do it, we got to do it. I'll take one reaction from Chizom on X, who says, Tinubu says debt is not leprosy. True. But what Nigerians are asking is simple. If borrowing isn't the problem, where are the results? Under Tinubu, the nation's debt keeps rising, but citizens are seeking deeper into hardship. Prices are up, jobs are scarce, and businesses are struggling. The question isn't whether a country should borrow. The question is, what are we gaining from these loans? Many Nigerians can't point to clear benefits that match the scale of debt accumulated. And what's your take?
President Tinubu is quite very stubborn, very deft guy politically. But what he's currently doing to the opposition is wrong, stifling the opposition. I don't think that's been deft. I don't think that's been stubborn, making it on evil playing field. If President Tinubu is truly sure that he has done enough to be able to get the people to vote for him, let the support be organic. The reason why they're stifling the opposition is because they're not sure, and that's what's happening. So you weaken your opponent because you're not sure. Leave a competitive playing field. If he wins, I'll celebrate him. Secondly, I'll tell you, debt is leprosy. Yes, debt is leprosy. You know why it's leprosy? Your cost of serving the debt or servicing the debts. When you spend about 15 to 16 trillion in a budget that goes about, I think, 60 trillion now, look at the percentage of what you use in debt service. It becomes leprosy, especially when you cannot see what you're doing with the debt. This argument that, oh, we are doing it for roads and everything, road does not significantly transfer to development and growth. What I said yesterday is the HDI, investment in healthcare, investment in school, capital appreciation, opening new opportunities, making ease of doing business very mandatory for these areas. These are things that can really open up an economy. And President Tinubu is not doing that, largely. You are beginning to see uptick in numbers of people suffering. Capital mobilization is poor. Okay, look at this morning. I went to buy fuel of 40,000 naira in one of my cars. If I depended on minimum wage, it could even give me 30 liters. It was about 29 liters. If I depended on minimum wage and I buy that twice, what will it give me? So this argument of, oh, doing roads and everything, it doesn't give an uptake in economic, what's it called? They've borrowed another 516. They've ratcheted up the debt to about 160 trillion. What have we to show for it? People are poor. Their lives are worse off. Right. They've done 47 kilometers of coastal road. We are still asking them, what's the bidding process for that? Why did they have a private company? They've gone to the port. They've borrowed money for the ports again. We are still asking about them. You were telling me about a certain report that was talking about even competence threshold as regards the people that were given that project to be done. What particular company keeps taking on the project? There is nothing to show for all of this. How does he have an uptake on the economy of the people? Let's be realistic. Debt can become leprosy if not properly used. And the idea at which Nigeria is using it is not better. What is the state of the federal medical centers today? What's the state of the schools in the country today? They claim they've done student loan. Yes, but it's still a loan because the student has to pay back on it.
Absolutely.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Absolutely. And
Debt is leprosy if it's not properly used. And we are losing it in a leprosy way. In fact, our debt has taken Nigeria to a leper's colony.
wow.
So can I just make 2 points on insecurity? I think it's very dicey to use insecurity as a political tool, like the first commenter said. I say this because during the Jonathan administration was the same thing he was criticized for, because he blamed, I think at the point, the emergence of terrorism, Boko Haram, the Chibok girls kidnapping to, I remember the famous First Lady speech, there is God, that people were complicit. And that was not an excuse. It didn't excuse his failure to manage the situation as perceived by a number of Nigerians. So giving an excuse that your enemies are behind insecurity is almost a slap on the face of those who have suffered as a result of insecurity. So what do we do about that?
Right.
So because of one man, your enemies, then many Nigerians have to die for that. What we're asking for is that we know that the administration talks about understanding the issues. Who is responsible? What is responsible? But there's a gap between that and fixing the issue. So don't tell us why insecurity is rampant or is rife during election season. What we want to see is addressing those challenges based on information that you have on who is behind it. That's what Nigerians want in a leader, not just telling us that, this is the reason why. I think it cheapens the experiences of people who are victims of insecurity.